But nevertheless, it is true. And I am not telling you third hand or fourth hand. I am telling you of my own experience. I am an eyewitness.
I am going to replay that for the second half here. I want you to understand, folks, exactly what Bill Cooper is telling you here, because this is what I told you in Mystery Babylon, the New World Order Unveiled. I told you that the CIA and the Mossad were running the drugs. Bill Cooper just left out the Mossad, but he's talking about naval intelligence. This is where it came. The drugs came into Albrook Air Force Base and were flown into Mena, Arkansas by Barry Seal. All that's in my book, Mystery Babylon. But I want you to repeat what he's telling you here.
Now, this may be a little difficult for many of you to swallow, but nevertheless, it is true. And I'm not telling you third hand or fourth hand. I am telling you of my own experience. I am an eyewitness. It is a fact. Everyone in the intelligence community knows this. Everyone in the Federal Bureau of Investigation knows this. Everyone who has ever conducted any investigation into the source of drugs that enter the United States of America knows this. Many studies have been made. Many books have been written, many congressional investigations have been conducted, and they always end at the doorstep of the Central Intelligence Agency, without fail, without exception, always. Now I want you all to close your eyes. Everyone listening to this broadcast, close your eyes right now. I'm going to give you a little simple demonstration in common sense. You need to know this, and you need to conduct this little experiment. Close your eyes, everyone. Lean back. Just let your head relax. Relax your neck muscles. Close your eyes. And then adjust for a few seconds. And then I want you to use your imagination, just like you did when you were a child. And on the inside of your eyelids or in your mind, I don't care how you choose to do it, I want you to picture a map of the United States of America, including Hawaii and Alaska. People who never had anything to do with alcohol began to manufacture alcohol in their bathtubs because they could make a quick profit from it. It created a huge organized crime network that we have not rid ourselves of to this very day, that did not exist before Prohibition was created. And the drug war is doing exactly the same thing. What happened when Prohibition was done away with? The drinking of alcohol went down, ladies and gentlemen. Organized crime lost its biggest source of revenue. Speakeasies and honky-tonk joints all over the place went out of business. And it never stopped anybody who wanted a drink from getting a drink, just like the war on drugs today has never stopped anybody and never will stop anybody who wants to get high on drugs from doing so. And you can sputter and bluster and argue and say whatever you want. What I just told you is the truth. And that's what you had better learn to deal with. In 1989, Parents for a Drug-Free America was forced to acknowledge that it had been using footage of the brainwaves of a person in a coma to represent those of a person under the influence of marijuana. A lapse that they indicated they felt perfectly justified in undertaking, though they refrained from following Poindexter's example in quoting Churchill. During the campaign to reinstitute Prohibition in Alaska, a DEA officer claimed at a meeting in Anchorage that no one ever died from tobacco use. Other troopers in the bodyguard that surfaced during that extended campaign were the old gateway drug argument. The claim that marijuana grown then was more than 10 times as powerful as that grown 15 years earlier, and the insinuation of permanent sterility from casual use, all lies. And remember, I don't advocate drug use. Don't use drugs. Don't advise anybody to use drugs.
I don't think it's a drug.
But I'm not stupid enough to think that I'm going to stop them from doing it if they really want to. Because it's the largest police state ever created in the history of the world, that has imprisoned more people in the history of the world than any other country in the history of the world per capita, can't stop them. Who am I to think that I can do it? And who the hell are you to think that you're going to do it? After 24 years, you haven't done it, and in the next 24 years, you're not going to do it either. Every major episode of drug hysteria in this country, ladies and gentlemen, has been manufactured through the adroit use of lies and propaganda, combined with appeals to fear and racism to divide the nation, to create a crime wave that should never have existed for crimes that are not crimes at all. In order to enslave a certain segment of the population, in order to manipulate them.
And that's exactly what I have been telling you, folks. It's exactly what I've been telling you. And that's why the novel that I wrote 40 years ago is one of the most important books that's going to come out. It may be even
that
more
another
important.
Segment of the population will consent to give up their rights endowed by their Creator upon birth and protected by their Constitution, so that they can bring about the utopian socialist world, utopian BS lie. Many of you go on with it. Most people don't really think at all. They follow the lead of others who have done the thinking for them and are manipulating them and deceiving them into the world that they want, not the world that we want or that you want. You don't even know where you're going. At the turn of the century, folks, lurid stories of opium fiends and dens of iniquity, illustrated with drawings of slimy Orientals helping disrobe an innocent-looking Caucasian woman, helped lead to the passage of the first United States anti-drug legislation, which was the Harrison Act in 1914. The
1 year
headlines
after
of
the
the
Federal
time
Reserve
linked
took over.
cocaine usage with race riots, while New York police blamed no less than 60% of all violent crime on the use of the drug and proposed deporters users to addict farms, and then these very same police officers, mayors, city councilmen, legislators, governors, and distinguished citizens sat around the drugstore counter drinking their dosage of cocaine in their bottle of Coca-Cola. What hypocrisy, what stupidity, what apathy and ignorance has brought us to this point, ladies and gentlemen. God gave us a brain. And like Rush Limbaugh, most of us choose to sit on it, or tie it behind our back, or whatever it is that he does with half his brain.
I just mentioned Rush, too.
I am alternately driven to hilarious laughter or profuse tears over this.
I spent many hours with Bill Cooper discussing
sound
this
familiar?
kind of thing.
See, I was talking about the turn of the century, ladies and gentlemen. Doesn't it sound familiar? Of course it does. Also familiar was the strategy adopted to combat dangerous drugs: blame foreigners. While Americans were consuming 10 times more drugs than the residents of any other country, authorities blamed supplier nations such as England and Japan, threatening to send the fleet to cut off the source of supply. Do you know that during World War II, the United States government paid farmers to grow marijuana? It was the biggest crop in the nation. All of the rope and line on Navy ships was made from hemp, marijuana. Many of the uniforms and pieces of equipment were made of woven hemp fibers. Most of you did not know that either, did you? Amazing, isn't it? Just absolutely amazing. You know that in many parts of America, huge, vast amounts of marijuana grows wild because during the war, that's where they had the marijuana crops. They just can't get rid of the seeds. They just keep falling out and growing again. Now, who do we blame? Colombian drug lords.
Which is
Are
the
you
CIA.
kidding me? You guys really buying this story? These guys down in South America with a high school education, these guys are growing all these drugs, processing them, manufacturing the end product. They're transporting it all to the United States of America, and they have this brilliant, genius, logistic supply line that takes these drugs to every city, country, and village in America, and they're able to provide protection for this supply line and all of their people. And they're getting all of these billions upon billions upon billions upon billions of dollars. Are you nuts or what? How stupid can you be to believe that silly story? There's not even folks, if you were to take all of the people and all of the industry in Colombia, you wouldn't account for 1% of the money that's produced through the manufacture, the growth, and the sale of drugs. There's nobody in Colombia who even begins to even distinguish themselves with even a minor portion of that kind of money. Why do you so eagerly? Like if you really, it's like you're waiting for them to tell you these stupid stories just so that you can believe them. Or have we just sunk into the depths of degradation and insanity? Oh, it's the Colombian drug kingpins that are doing all this stuff. Yep. Well, if it was them, why don't we go down there and kill thousands of people in Panama to bring Manuel Noriega back to this country and put him in jail? Ostensibly for drugs. But what we did, folks, to Noriega had absolutely nothing to do with drugs. I can't tell you exactly why that happened, but it wasn't about drugs.
It's all in my book. And it was about drugs, actually. Bill Cooper is wrong on that. But he didn't have the information that I've got.
He obviously did something that made Bush real mad.
Yeah, they took all the paperwork out of him. They took all the paperwork away.
I predicted the invasion of Panama just 3 days before it happened.
And I
told the world on a broadcast of the Alan Handelman show when I was a guest that within 2 weeks we would invade Panama. 3 days later we did. I'm not going to tell you how I knew, because anybody who had any brains and had ears and was listening could have made the same prediction. The corruption, ladies and gentlemen, of present-day law enforcement had its counterpart as well. You see, investigations of the dope ring led by Arnold Rothstein just before the onset of the Great Depression revealed that the head of the U.S. Drug Police, established barely half a decade before, had been on Rothstein's payroll as a lawyer. Makes me just want to go get drunk. I can't believe this situation that we're in simply because we choose to be in this situation, because we have turned off the switch that activates our thinking process and we refuse to use it. Just refuse for some reason. In the 1930s, newly appointed head of the newly reorganized Federal Bureau of Narcotics, whose name was Harry Anslinger, campaigned vigorously for harsher laws to combat the, quote, new menace, end quote, of marijuana use. This was in the 30s. The government paid farmers to raise marijuana during World War II. But this guy was targeting especially the role of jazz musicians. You can interpret that as blacks. And mules from Mexico, which means wetbacks. And the Sunday Oregonian cooperated by denouncing, quote, the great American brain killer dance music, end quote. This was in the 30s. Can you imagine? You know, I play music from the 30s all the time, and everybody says, oh, that's old stuff. It's not, you know, some people appreciate it, like me. Brain killer music, they call it. While much of the media, when not recirculating fanciful stories about muggles, orgies leading to death, waxed by turns sentimentally protective, dragging the children down with dope, and sternly censorious Hollywood actress nabbed with dope, her film career now closed by
We're listening to Bill Cooper.
All total BS, lies, crap, crapola, pablum for babies who don't know how to think yet. The hysteria, ladies and gentlemen, drummed up by Anslinger succeeded in thwarting the movement to repeal the Harrison Act on the grounds that it was doing more harm than good, and led instead to the passage of the Marijuana Tax Act, which placed a prohibitive tax on the possession of hemp, and thus succeeded in outlawing constitutionally protected private behavior while being promoted ostensibly as a revenue enhancer. And to this day, ladies and gentlemen, so you think that drugs are illegal, and you think that you cannot legally possess marijuana? I'm telling you that that's not true. You can possess any amount of marijuana that you want to possess if you're willing to pay the tax to do it. Just like David Koresh could have owned as many machine guns as he wanted to own as long as he paid the $200 tax on each one of them.
He didn't
The
have
truth
it.
is, he didn't even own one. Not one machine gun did David Koresh or any of his people own. You see, most of you don't know that the government just lies their head off. If you believe for one moment that what happened in Waco, Texas was about a machine gun, then you're about as far from reality as you can possibly be. You really think all of that happened and they spent millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars to kill all those people and then burn their church to the ground because they didn't pay a $200 tax? When in the world will you wake up, ladies and gentlemen? It's beyond me. Hemp, folks, not so incidentally, was poised at that time to revolutionize the paper and textile industries as a cheap decorticator had recently been introduced, allowing the highly pulpy plant to be fully utilized for the first time. You see, the timber subsidiaries of the Hearst newspaper chain, which led the outcry against what Hearst first popularized as marijuana, would have lost a great deal of money if hemp would have been used to replace wood for paper. And you wouldn't have this big environmental thing and people driving steel spikes into trees and the lumber business dying. It would have just shifted over to the growing of hemp.
And farms
This is
across
all manipulation
America.
by powerful men with lots of money with vested interest in producing wood pulp for paper. Meanwhile,
we have the opportunity right now with my plan for Liberty Villages. If we locate those, if we staffed them, located them, bought up the farmland, and used the local people to form these and take these over, stocked it with our veterans so they protect the crops. If you're all alone, you got pot in your backyard, I guarantee you somebody's going to come in and rip it off from you. So you have to protect it. The whole Liberty idea behind Liberty Village is you can defend the village and you can take care of people. Now, what I've been telling you all along, in the next article that's coming out to you, it'll be coming out very shortly. Actually, it may be included with this show because I want you to know about this show. I want you to know about this information because the books I wrote 40 years ago were about hemp being legal, and the way it became legal was because they made films and they advertised and they told the truth and they countered all the propaganda from the government, the reefer madness and all of that kind of crap. And it showed a world where you could buy anything you wanted. Walk to your neighbor, walk to the dealer. You know, in Belize, they sell Coca-Cola from little stands outside their house. We could do that in America. We could reset the villages up. And if we can grow hemp on the Liberty Villages, and we've got veterans there to defend it, and it's a cash crop. It's a cash crop, and we can do it by the law. First time, basically, since I wrote my books, is it possible to create this world. And I've got a novel. All I've got to do is a little bit of editing on it in addition to it, because I've combined a few things and done it in a little bit different aspect. Of course, that's just kind of the way I do things. And it's all possible. I mean, there are answers. If you grow your own food, produce your own energy, and you got a crop like hemp that renews your land, your soil, it will renew it. You plant it as a rotational crop. You make money off of it. You grow your food in the same plot right next to it, and you stay healthy, and your people stay healthy, and you work together, and you can defend. This is the answer, and this is the answers that I'm portraying in my next novel, which was my first novel. Go figure. Yeah, let's see what we got to say. That's right. Hemp revitalized the soil like no other plant. I mean, this is the plant of renown. This is what the Bible is about. This is what we were growing marijuana here for thousands of years, and then they decided to come in and take it over. This is how the communist system works, or the Marx system, the Judeo-Christian system. They want to keep you as slaves, and they want to go back in, and they want to do it this way, and they want to do it this, and they take a little bit here, and they take a little bit there, and take a little bit there. It's called gradualism. You know, on the scale of things. It's been happening to us for 10,000 years. Never been easy to be free, but we've got the tools. This internet, what you're watching me on right now, is a tool. By the message getting out, if we united, if we just say, okay, we're gonna take 10 acres here, we're gonna take 20 acres here, we're gonna go on it together, we're gonna buy, and we're gonna invest in a Liberty Village. We're gonna put low-cost structures on here, so you don't have to pay the banks $200,000 for a $100,000 home, and you can have a home for under $10,000 that will do you just as well and withstand tornadoes and everything else. You can do it in a number of different ways. We don't have. They want you. They have tried to corner you. They've tried to put you in a corner. They put you in a corner with little box houses. They put you in a corner with their educational system. This is all psychological programming. This is psychopolitics. This is exactly what Bill Cooper talks about. This is what we've talked about together. Bill Cooper and I worked together and talked together. He didn't like Alex Jones, but I could go to his house and pet his dog and walk out again. Now, I am Clay Douglas. I am the Free American. I've been doing this for a long time. I had it set up so I could make money. I'm going to set that up again. It's a time that a lot of you folks out there start buying some of my books under. If you buy Mystery Babylon, this book right here, right behind me right here. If you buy Mystery Babylon, you just read it. If you just read it, you'll understand the kind of battle that we've been in, that I've been in for the last 25 years. You'll understand that, and you'll know the history of the Rothschild for thousands of years ago. You'll also get a look into the whole, why is Homeland Security upset about Christian identity? And then you want to take the next step. You want to go read the Lucifer Legends, the Solomon series. Not even sure what I'm going to call it yet, because it's morphed, it's changed, it's grown. I've got a lot of knowledge that I've gathered that I can add to what I created 40 years ago. I need your support. I need your help. Some of you out there have and do, and I appreciate that. We need a lot more. We need to reach a lot more people. And hopefully we're doing that now.
Call recording has been completed.
All right, I'm out of here. Go to freeamerican.com, order some of my books, and screw all you people that don't talk to you. Goodbye. Okay, what do we got here? Just a second here. Let's see. Already done that.
The only two things in life. We're gonna rise up with the sun. Morning. We're gonna start each brand new day with a prayer. Because without the love and kindness of our Lord and our Savior, we sons of liberty can't get anywhere. We're gonna do the work our Lord puts before us. There's a job that surely needs to get done. The job of waking up the nation to the new world order, which is trying to put us under their thumb. We ain't gonna wait around any longer. We ain't gonna hesitate anymore. Now that we've opened up our